Why settle for less? The high cost of ignoring your WordPress tech stack. Let's get right into it. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is security vulnerabilities. Ignoring your marketing tech stack can create a lot of vulnerabilities in your website. And here's an article from Solid WP that helps demonstrates how much your plugins can affect that chance of you being vulnerable to threats. 2% of WordPress plugins are responsible for 99% of vulnerabilities. I'll say that again. 2% of WordPress plugins are responsible for 99% of vulnerabilities. That is a small percentage, but a huge number of responsibility. So if I were you, I would really think about the technologies that I'm using, specifically your marketing tech stack or your plugins on your WordPress site when it comes to developing your website. Because the last thing you want is to have vulnerable plugins on your website that are creating these issues. Next, we have site performance issues. And this article by WP Rocket really helps demonstrate how important it is that you have a high performing or a high performance driven website. A site that loads in 1 second has an e-commerce conversion rate of 2.5 times higher than a site that loads in 5 seconds. And the same thing applies to B2B websites. So whether you're B2B or you're B2C, B2B is business to business and B2C is business to customer, your website speed impacts conversion rates. So the faster your site is, the more your conversion rates go up. The slower your site is, the more your conversion rates go down, and your tech stack completely impacts that performance. Then we have increased downtime and maintenance costs. When your site goes down, you typically have to either fix it yourself or hire somebody to fix it for you. And one of the biggest leading causes to your downtime of your site, meaning your site is down, people can't go to it. They go to your website, your URL, and there's some type of error or issue, or it won't load on their page. And that oftentimes is due to plugin conflicts. So a couple articles here that I wanted to share with you. And then there is a form here. So I like to look at patterns. And just to show you, this article by Colorlib helps demonstrate some of the leading causes of WordPress website downtime. This form by Quora also shows a pattern of plugin conflicts, right? So we see what is the most common causes of WordPress website downtime. We have plugin conflicts here. We have plugin and theme updates here. We have hosting, and hosting is also a part of that. But again, we're talking about your marketing tech stack, specifically in reference to plugins. We have plugin and theme here. This person talks about a variety of factors, hosting as well. Additionally, plugin and theme conflicts. So you can see the pattern as far as plugins and themes being leading causes of your downtime on your website. Then we have another article that has plugin conflicts at number 2 for a reason why your website could be down. These are things that you definitely want to avoid. And the way to avoid that is by thinking deeply and thinking strategically about your marketing tech stack, thinking about what plugins that you are using. Now let's talk about scalability challenges. So when we're talking about scalability challenges, we're referring to scaling up, which is vertical, and scaling out, which is horizontal. So to keep it simple, I'm going to use the metaphor from this article from, I think it's Jandale Digital. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize, Jandale. It's an interesting name. They use a metaphor for a car. And they say, think of upgrading your website, scaling up as like the engine of a car to make it run faster. And when we're talking about scaling up vertical, we're talking about adding more memory, improving the CPU, and adding more storage. When we're speaking on scaling out, which is horizontal, we're referring to adding more servers. And they use the metaphor of imagining more lanes on a highway. So scaling up vertical is like upgrading your car engine, and scaling out horizontal is adding more servers to your operations. And your plugins and your marketing tech stack also affects or impacts the way you're able to scale up more than anything versus out, but it does affect scaling out too. Then we have compatibility problems. And this is something that I see a lot with WordPress websites, with either my client sites or certain customer sites, or some of my colleagues and peer sites, is the way that they have their plugins set up on their website. They play a huge role on compatibility issues. So we have plugins conflict with other plugins. We have theme conflicts with plugins. Then we have some plugins that get discontinued. It happens all the time where a plugin developer will abandon their plugin and no longer support the plugin with updates. And we'll talk more on that here in a second. Then you have some plugins load on every page, like they load scripts on every single page, even though the plugin's features aren't being used on every page. It's still loading on every page. One of those plugins is something like a WooCommerce, and you have to use other plugins or other techniques to remove those scripts from unused pages, or to remove certain scripts from pages that they're not being used on. And then some plugins need pro support. So the key here is to use plugins under the same parent company or ecosystem that have a positive track record. There is no perfect solution to avoid problems, but you can mitigate a lot of issues by using technology, especially technology and plugins that the company has multiple different products that help solve your problems, and those products are well developed. If I were you, I would do that instead of using solutions and products from a whole bunch of different providers, because then you have to talk to all those providers and pretty much get their support or help to help be compatible with other plugins. And sometimes it doesn't always work in your best interest. Now we have limited functionality and innovation. So basically, this is just simply talking about when it's okay or not okay to use outdated plugins, right? And you would think like, okay, Maestro, why is it okay? Like, why would it be okay to use outdated plugins? Why would I ever want to use something outdated? And if you're thinking about that question, I'm glad you asked. It is an exception to the rule. You most likely never want to use outdated plugins. That is just my opinion, and I will take that to the bank. You can take that to the bank. However, every now and then it is okay to use an outdated plugin on special occasions if the plugin is something that has limited functionality and it solves one or two problems, as well as if the developer developed that plugin very well. You know, if it has really good coding and they use best practices in developing this plugin, as well as if it's a plugin that you don't have an alternative solution for, and it's pretty much the only one out there. It's a very unique plugin. Again, it should be developed very well. You know, if it's a situation where it's a unique plugin, but yet it's a plugin that's not developed well and it's breaking your site, I would abandon that plugin. I would not use that plugin, and I would figure out something else to address that problem that you have that you need to solve. So hopefully that makes sense on why it would be okay to use an outdated plugin. But again, that's an exception to the rule. And then also plugins limit your ability to innovate with your website. So while they may give you limited functionality, then that hinders your ability to be able to do or try new things that you wouldn't have done otherwise. Maybe you want to test out some new type of technique or some type of tactical movement or tactical activity. Well, a plugin could hinder you from being able to do that because of its limited functionality. Therefore, you're not able to innovate in the way that you want to innovate. Then we have SEO and visibility impact. So we're mainly talking about SEO friendly themes and SEO focused plugins for technical SEO and on page SEO. We referred to some of the issues that ignoring your marketing tech stack can cause when it came to theme and plugin conflicts, but we didn't talk about the SEO impact. And we have an article here from Search Engine Land and SEMrush. I call it SEMrush. I don't know why I call it SEMrush, but SEMrush that mainly talks about passing core with vitals. So that's where a lot of your technical improvements would come in when you're trying to pass your core web vitals, meaning your tests with Google. And then we have on page SEO, and this is referring to site content, keywords, title tags, meta descriptions, URLs, internal linking, external linking, images, user engagement, page speed, feature snippets, schema, markup, and more. Say that all in one breath, or at least try to. And that's on page SEO. We're not really referring to off page SEO when it comes to our marketing tech stack. So again, your marketing tech stack can and will affect your SEO visibility, specifically when it comes to technical and on page SEO. Then we have customer experience and conversion rates. Oftentimes, people confuse customer experience with customer service, or they use those terms interchangeably. And customer experience is talking about the customer journey, what a person does before they purchase your product or service. And then customer service is talking about how you deliver that product or service, or how you engage with that customer or client in the delivery process, right? So they're not necessarily the same thing. And then your customer experience impacts your conversion rates. So here's a nice article from Le Rise. I don't know, but it's something there. Close. It says a recent survey showed that 86% of consumers would be willing to pay extra for a better customer experience. Furthermore, businesses prioritizing customer experience have seen their profits grow an average of 80%. I like these numbers. And this is why you cannot ignore your customer experience. And on the other end, you can't ignore your marketing tech stack and how that impacts your customer experience. And last but not least, we have long-term financial savings. Playing the long game of using and investing in premium tools for more peace of mind and yielding more profits. In other words, you're going to either pay now or you're going to pay later, but you are going to pay. No matter what you do or what you say, you're going to pay. And the key that you want to think about in paying is paying the cost or the time up front to really get it right the first time, or to mitigate as much risk as you move along your journey. And therefore, if problems do arise, it's less issues that happen and you're only fixing a minimal amount of things, versus if you were to ignore your marketing tech stack or just add anything to your website, you're going to have to fix a lot of things moving forward, which ties back to maintenance. Either you're going to have to figure out how to address your maintenance issues, or you're going to have to hire somebody else to figure that out. And either way, you're going to pay something. So if I were you, I would take my marketing tech stack seriously and think about the strategy of what you should use and why you should use it versus just adding anything. My name is Maestro Stevens, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have if you want to leave them in the comments. If this video has been helpful or valuable to you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.